Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Season 3 of the Nugget Bridge Invitational Tournament. My name is Evan Pladlat, and I am joined for the very first time by probably the best caster I've ever had the pleasure to never work with before, Mr. Dwi Ha. Dwi, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing good, Evan. Really excited for this invitational right now. We got 32 of the best players in the Nugget Bridge this season getting ready to duke it out for so many prizes.
Yeah, there is so much money on the line in this tournament. Over $1,000 in prizes available for our 32 players who have battled through a really intense season. And we've got, a very impressive list of players coming up for you later today. Our first match that we're going to see is the Australian phenom Boomguy will be on the stream. He'll be going up against last year's senior national finalist in North America, Dingram, who has qualified for Worlds this year and is one of the many, many Worlds qualifiers on the list for today's tournament.
Yeah, Boomguy, not really much known about him besides the fact that he's from Australia. Going to be interested to see exactly what he brings to this tournament, whereas, Dingram, he's been around for a good amount of time. Last year, he got second place at Nationals in the seniors division, and this year, of course, proving everybody wrong and proving how great of a player he is by qualifying in the tough Masters division through CP. Of course, he did tie, but he was able to get through because of that tie. So, going to be interested to see what both players are going to bring to this match right now.
Yeah, and I think the North American squadron is definitely better for it. I'm really excited to see Boomguy play. Australia is not a region we get to look at too often. It's a fairly new region to VGC, only first sent its representatives, I believe, last year, and we're sending more again this year. So seeing Boomguy play in this, highest echelon of talent is going to be interesting for everyone, I think. And of course, let's just go by how people could qualify for this tournament. Of course, this is an invitational tournament. It was not open to everyone. So there are a few different ways that you could qualify. Most of these competitors qualified by placing in the Nugget Bridge Circuit Top 16, which is our season-long live tournaments, online tournaments as well, run by our tournament organizers on the forums at nuggetbridge.com. These top 16 players, of which Boomguy is a part of, have played throughout the season in a really tough circuit.
Right. You got to be consistent to be able to make it to the top 16. You got to be able to be active, for all the live tournaments, all the tournaments that go up, and you have to consistently be able to win or do very well in each of those tournaments too.
Yeah, it's no small feat to place in the top 16. We also had everyone who placed in the third Nugget Bridge Major. Anyone who placed top 8 or higher did qualify for that, and we see that's how Dingram actually qualified for this event. The Nugget Bridge Major, of course, on a giant open qualifying tournament. Pretty much everyone who has ever played a tournament on Nugget Bridge participating in that one. So getting the top 8 there is a huge honor.
That was definitely a rough tournament to go through. I mean, there were hundreds of players that signed up. That was actually one of our first tournaments that we were able to offer cash prizes as well. And Dark Assassin and BR made it to the finals, and we were actually able to stream that as well. But the Nugget Bridge Major, the third one, was actually probably one of the toughest tournaments to play in.
Yeah, and we also had everyone who played in the Dojiro Cup finals got a ticket to the Invitational, and our finalists from the second Nugget Bridge Invitational last year. But all of that's in the past. All of that means nothing if you can't show up for the tournament right now, and we are going to get right into the battle as we speak. On your screen, you are looking at Dingram's team. That's Mawile, Gyarados, Hydreigon, Mamoswine, Heat Rotom, and Ludicolo. He's up against Boomguy, who will be at the bottom of your screen coming up. Boomguy running a very unique team that I'm excited to see in action. We have Delphox, Kangaskhan, Amoonguss, Washrotom, Hydreigon, and Carbink, who I don't think I have ever seen in competitive play.
I'm actually surprised that you even knew what it was, Evan. Delphox, of course, pretty interesting.
Wow.
One of the fire starters. It gets great ability Magician. It could probably steal an item if it really gets a chance to. Fire typing, of course, really popular right now to hit steel types like Dingram's Mawile. And grass types as well in Amoonguss, but Dingram doesn't have that Amoonguss. And Carbink, of course, probably the rogue Pokemon on Boomguy's team. Rock Fairy, really bulky, really good supporting Pokemon. Doesn't really have much offensive presence to it, but at the same time, I believe that Stone Edge will be able to knock out or do a good amount of damage to any fire type on the field. Dingram, of course, running that Gyarados that he loves so much that he brought to Nationals last year and got second place with it. And going to be interested to see how both these teams play out. Boomguy, definitely the more interesting team, in my opinion.
Definitely the more interesting team, and both of these are very interesting players. I am excited to see how Dingram performs on the highest stage. I think I've said that a couple of times throughout this season. Having graduated from the seniors division, and of course, Boomguy, our Australian representative, seeing how he performs now as one of the top 32 players online. So we can see our leads on the field. Dingram at the top of your screen, leading with that trademark Gyarados and Ludicolo for that immediate fake-out pressure up against Boomguy's Kangaskhan and Hydreigon. Hydreigon, a new face to VGC, very popular as of Nationals, and Kangaskhan, of course, that rock that we can all depend on to show up in every important match ever. And this is exactly why you see Kangaskhan going to go ahead and Mega Evolve, get the baby right out of the pouch and ready for action. That Kangaskhan is going to go for the double fake out onto the Ludicolo, outspeeding and making sure that Ludicolo can't get the fake off on its own. The critical hit dealing a little bit, about 30% damage there. And the Draco Meteor misses, unfortunately, as Gyarados gets the Thunder Wave off onto Hydreigon, completely neutralizing that threat.
That's a pretty big miss right there. Hydreigon really looking to put a dent in one of those Pokemon on Dingram's side, but that unfortunate miss allows Dingram's Pokemon to survive that turn. And Gyarados, of course, playing a pretty big support role by firing off that Thunder Wave to kind of weaken Hydreigon. Hydreigon really wants to be faster than most of the Pokemon on the field to be able to threaten it with powerful Dragon-type attacks or Dark-type attacks. And, of course, Kangaskhan, always a really good threat. You saw how much damage it did with that critical hit fake-out. That critical hit being pretty big because it went through that Intimidate drop that Gyarados fired off at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, we see both of our players playing a very fast-paced game as Ludicolo at 60% health doesn't want to deal with any damage, gets Mawile out onto the field to drop that Kangaskhan's attack again, hoping to neuter it a little bit more. Kangaskhan's return does hit the Mawile, dealing almost no damage. You very rarely see a Kangaskhan deal that little damage, thanks to the double Intimidates and the resistant steel typing on Mawile. Gyarados, we usually think of this as a scary dragon of water, flying, dark, but not being too scary, just doing a supportive role, going to paralyze Kangaskhan as well, and of course the fully para onto Hydreigon, making sure that Boomguy just can't get away into this game. Really unfortunate start for him.
Right now, that Gyarados really, really paying its worth for Dingram, being able to paralyze both Kangaskhan and Hydreigon, reducing its threats, really.
Yeah, speaking of reducing threats, that major threat, Hydreigon, which could be dealing so much damage on the field, is going to go ahead and switch out for the Delphox. First competitive Delphox I've ever seen, as Kangaskhan tries to reset its attack and switches out in favor of the Amoonguss as well. While Dingram is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve his Mawile, just wants to get the offensive pressure out onto the field. Great switch there from Boomguy, gets the Waterfall into the Amoonguss, not very effective damage, while the Rocky Helmet is going to deal a good amount of damage back. But the Play Rough coming in from Mega Mawile, also not very effective. Really good switches there. Delphox gets in for free. Amoonguss just takes a little bit of damage.
Yeah, Rocky Helmet really paying off, doing a little bit of chip damage. That's probably the best good amount of damage to both Mawile and Gyarados. Delphox right now going to be able to threaten that Mawile, while that Amoonguss is going to play a really, really good support role for that Delphox. Mawile, of course, could Sucker Punch that Delphox, and Gyarados could target down that Delphox with the Waterfall, but Amoonguss, of course, can just redirect both those attacks and make them really moot. Really good decision right there for Boomguy to switch out that Kangaskhan, because Kangaskhan at two attack stage drops, not really going to do that much damage to either Gyarados or Mawile, both of them pretty bulky in general, and of course Gyarados is going to be able to fire off Thunder Waves into that Amoonguss if it really wanted to, or try to stay in that support role.
And it looks like Gyarados is going to stick around a little bit. We'll see if it's going to get any additional support. Oh, the Will-O-Wisp move misses from Delphox, trying to target that Mawile, but would have caught that Hydreigon. The taunt coming out from Gyarados, proving that it is 100% a support Pokemon right now, really neutering that Amoonguss, while the heavy hitter of Hydreigon on Dingram's side is going to get a free switch in.
Really can't do much with that Amoonguss right now. Giga Drain's only going to be able to do neutral damage to Gyarados, and of course Amoonguss not really trained that much in special attack ever. What it really wants to be doing is either Sporing or Rage Powdering, but right now it can't do any of that. Hydreigon going to be able to threaten that Delphox freely right now because Amoonguss cannot stay out there to support.
Yeah, both Gyarados and Hydreigon able to threaten that Delphox, looking a little bit scared. Kangaskhan is going to switch back in, try to get that fake out pressure out on the field, and another Will-O-Wisp avoid. Boomguy's just not getting any breaks this game, as it looks like the Dragon Pulse is going to come off onto that Delphox, dealing good amount of damage there, as Waterfall is going to pick up the clean KO on Dingram's side. Boomguy just hasn't been able to get a way in on this game. The RNG is just not in his favor.
Right, you gotta take into account that first Dracometer miss, and then of course Hydreigon being fully paralyzed the next turn. Really unfortunate right now for Boomguy, but I mean, when there's a Mega Kangaskhan, there's probably a way still, and gonna be interesting to see if Boomguy, is gonna try to throw in the towel here and just pick up more information that he can, or he's gonna try to fight back. I'd say he could still fight back if he really wanted to.
He can try to fight back, but double paralyzed Kangaskhan and Hydreigon, you're really going to be rolling the dice there, especially now that both of those Pokemon have lost a lot of their speed advantage thanks to that paralysis. This Gyarados and, more importantly, this Hydreigon on Dingram's side is going to be really threatening to both of these Pokemon.
Right, but at the same time, this Kangaskhan right now exerting a little bit of fake-out pressure, going to try to fire off a fake-out to either make Hydreigon or Gyarados flinch so that Hydreigon can freely fire off a move safely. So it's all really up to how he handles the situation right now.
It looks like Dingram is going to protect his Hydreigon. It's the only real offensive threat we've seen so far come out from him. The fake out is going to go off onto the Ludicolo that switched in for the Hydreigon, as Waterfall coming out from the Gyarados on Dingram's side onto Kangaskhan, trying to deal some damage back. Not a lot, because as we've seen, it's a very supportive type Pokemon, but the Dracometer finally connecting from Boomguy's Hydreigon, and it does get... not quite enough. Gyarados just barely hanging on with a sliver of health there right at the end. Really needed that KO right there to get to allow Amoonguss to come back into this game.
Right, that would have been a really, really big knockout right there. Gyarados, of course, just showing how great it is. Taunt, Thunder Waving, all of Boomguy's side. But at the same time right now, both of Dingram's Pokemon are pretty weak, but Ludicolo, of course, can always use that fake-out support that it has to try to get Gyarados or even another safe switch in to help out his situation right now. Kangaskhan, of course, does have Sucker Punch, might be able to pick up a free knockout here on Gyarados if it really wants to. Not really a point in targeting Ludicolo with Sucker Punch because Fake Out will just go before the Sucker Punch and make Sucker Punch fail. So going to be interesting to see where Dingram targets that Fake Out, if he does even decide to Fake Out or just try to pick up as much damage as he can with that Ludicolo and Gyarados.
Yeah, and of course you have to consider the rolling the dice here with both of those Pokemon being paralyzed on Boomguy's side. A lot of times people look at competitive Pokemon and think that it's all about these rolls of the dice, but Dingram has definitely put himself in a position where he can abuse that paralysis factor. As Kangaskhan is going to switch out, correct prediction there from Boomguy. Correctly identified that Ludicolo would try to get the fake out onto the Kangaskhan. The Rocky Helmet gets the KO thanks to that switch in, as Waterfall is going to connect with the Amoonguss. A double KO for the Rocky Helmet Amoonguss.
Wow.
What an amazing play from Boomguy.
Wow, what a good switch in from Boomguy right there to pick up 2 knockouts without having to do anything at all. That is so big.
That's a huge play right there.
Right. So much momentum's right now been shifted because of that.
We do still have both of Dingram's heavy hitters in Mawile and Hydreigon out on the field, but now Amoonguss is safe to redirect any attacks it pleases with that Rage Powder or disable any of these Pokemon with a Spore. This is a huge shift for Boomguy.
Right. It all really comes down to this turn to see what this Amoonguss can do. Hydreigon not really enjoying facing off against both Mawile and Hydreigon, especially since Hydreigon's now been paralyzed, so that Mawile is going to be able to outspeed and probably hit it with a ×4 Play Rough, or Amoonguss can just simply try to use its Rage Powder to draw away any attacks, but that's going to be a lot of damage towards Amoonguss, and I don't think Boomguy wants to risk losing that Amoonguss that has not been paralyzed at all this
I think with 2 paralyzed Pokemon on his side, Amoonguss is going to be the linchpin to the victory, but the Fire Blast does connect from Dingram's Hydreigon. Dingram's Pokemon having no problem hitting their attacks, as Play Rough also connects with the Hydreigon. That's 2 easy KOs for Dingram's heavy hitters in the back. And all of that progress that Boomguy had made, he had some terrible rolls, but he looked like he had finally figured out a way to get back into this game. And that turn just sort of got rid of all hope there, I think, with this paralyzed Kangaskhan being the last hope for Boomguy here.
Right. Uh, Good information that Boomguy can take away from this match is that Gyarados from Dingram carries Taunt, so Amoonguss cannot just freely switch into Gyarados and try to stay out there to wall it because Taunt will come out and prevent Amoonguss from doing any of its support roles. So Boomguy gonna start looking towards ways to defeating that Gyarados a lot faster than he did this game. Good information from him though to learn.
Also, the Fire Blast on Hydreigon, so that he does know that Amoonguss isn't even a little bit safe coming out up against that Hydreigon. As
Right.
Dingram just goes through the final motions, gets the final KO on that Kangaskhan, it takes a 1-0 lead in this best-of-3 set in round 1 of the Nugget Bridge Invitational.
Yeah, information to take away from that. Boomguy might want to consider bringing that Wash Rotom of his to try to take on that Gyarados. Wash Rotom, really good counter to that Gyarados. Going to be able to wall that waterfall. Cannot be paralyzed. Probably wouldn't mind getting taunted too much. Just preventing it from firing off any support move that it has either in Will-O-Wisp or Thunder Wave. But really well played by Dingham right there to show off exactly why he is a world's competitor. I mean, you saw that. He played amazing.
Yeah, he played an absolutely phenomenal game, but I think Boomguy also played just as well. I mean, we go back and we think about Australia last year. Did
Right.
not put up huge showings at Worlds.
Right.
But, time heals all wounds, and if you practice, it can sometimes make perfect, and Boomguy's definitely looking like he's getting there.
He definitely showed off his great prediction skill with that really, really clutch Amoonguss switching with the Rocky helmet. That was just so beautiful.
Yeah, that was so clutch. It was amazing. Up again on your screen, you see Dingram's team. That's Mawile, Gyarados, Hydreigon, Mamoswine, Heat Rotom, and Ludicolo. Up against Boomguy's Delphox, Kangaskhan, Amoonguss, Wash Rotom, Carbink, and Hydreigon. And I think I have to agree with you. I see no reason why Boomguy wouldn't bring that Wash Rotom this time. Especially, when we saw how, unfortunately, how underwhelming that Delphox played out.
Right. I mean, that Wash Rotom right now threatens immediately on the screen Gyarados, Mamoswine, and Rotom Heat, while at the same time probably going to be able to do a good amount of damage to that Mawile because of its ability to use Will-O-Wisp, if it does have Will-O-Wisp. The only problem I see right there is that Hydreigon, which walls it, but definitely should consider bringing that Wash Rotom.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Boomguy makes that adjustment. I think if you're a Dingram, you just play the same game that you just did. That's the great advantage of being up 1-0. You don't have to make any changes. It's all the pressure's on Boomguy now. Dingram has at least one game that he can throw away, basically.
Right, definitely. Dingram, I mean, if it's working, why change it, right? You saw how well he played that game. It just turned out amazingly for him. Of course, Boomguy, if he didn't get those unlucky rolls, maybe the game would have turned out differently, so going to be interesting to see exactly what happens this game. Is it going to come down to rolls like that again, or is Boomguy going to be lucky this time?
And is Boomguy going to let Devin get into a position where he can take those rolls, where he can get the paralysis spread amongst his entire team? And it looks like we are going to have the Hydreigon and Gyarados lead coming off from Dingram's side, up against Rotom Wash, making that adjustment alongside Kangaskhan, who I don't think we should ever expect to not see being led if we see it on a team.
Yeah, Kangaskhan just brings so much to the team. I mean, first turn gets Fake Out. Fake Out's always a good move to have. Right now, that Rotom going to be able to threaten that Gyarados, and Kangaskhan really threatening that Fake Out onto that Hydreigon. But at the same time, what if that Gyarados is a super bulky Gyarados with a Wakan Berry that survives his Thunderbolt and is able to fire off a Thunder Wave onto Kangaskhan? So, going to be interesting to see exactly what kind of Gyarados this is.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen that Devin has gone with a more bulky support, so we'll have to definitely see what its item choice is. Fake Out coming off from that Kangaskhan as usual onto Hydreigon, making sure that no damage comes out from Dingram's side this turn. Just going to get the paralysis onto that Kangaskhan. And as you predicted, Dwee, are you a prophet? Do you see the future? That Wakan Berry coming out from the Gyarados is going to let it survive that Thunderbolt coming off from Wash Rotom, despite the 4 times weakness.
Yeah, and interesting to see right there that Gyarados outsped that Rotom. Gyarados probably has been trained a little bit in speed, and that Rotom has probably not been trained in speed to be able to outspeed, but at the same time it didn't really matter because that Wakan Berry helped Gyarados survive. Yeah, good play right there by Dingram. Kangaskhan right now kind of slowed down, and really Kangaskhan doesn't want to be too slow. It wants to stay as fast as it can for just being able to fire off really quick, powerful attacks.
Yeah, definitely. Kangaskhan definitely loses a lot from the paralysis speed. You know, one of the reasons why Kangaskhan is so dominant is because it's so bulky, it's so powerful, and it's so fast. All of the above. It basically has a little bit of everything for anyone. And unfortunately, that Rotom just not being able to get the KO thanks to that item choice on the bulky Gyarados.
Gyarados gonna switch out right there, and Hydreigon gonna fire off that Draco Meteor onto the Kangaskhan. Gonna do a good amount of damage and barely knocks it out, while Rotom gonna be content with just firing off Thunderbolt into that Gyarados slot and get that Ludicolo instead due to that switch. And the Hammer Arm coming out from Kangaskhan gonna do a lot of damage to that Hydreigon, and actually gonna be able to not pick up the knockout, and Hydreigon barely survives. Two Pokemon right now just barely hanging on. Right now, Hammer Arm is one of the better moves, in my opinion, on Kangaskhan. Of course, right now it's paralyzed. Doesn't really mind the speed drop because, of course, it's already paralyzed. But the damage output of Hammer Arm in comparison to, say, Power Up Punch is so much. Kangaskhan Hammer Arm able to pick up knockouts on other Kangaskhan's. Unfortunately, right there, though, not picking up that knockout on Hydreigon.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Intimidate just being enough to save Hydreigon here. It's going to be. I'm going to be curious to see if Boomguy actually protects this Kangaskhan at such low health, because it will still be able to threaten with Sucker Punch and provide Fake Out support. But it will give Dingram a free switch if he decides to switch that out.
Right, but of course, right now that Ludicolo is going to provide Fake Out support for that Hydreigon. So Ludicolo could easily fire off that Fake Out, pick up that knockout on Kangaskhan, and fire off another attack onto that Rotom.
It looks like Dingram's actually the one who's going to play more conservatively, switching out that Hydreigon at its red sliver of health in favor of Gyarados, getting another Intimidate out onto that Kangaskhan. So it's paralyzed, double Intimidated, and it's paralyzed, and it's about to die. It's about 5 HP left. Yeah. And the Thunderbolt does come out onto Gyarados and will get the KO there, while Ice Beam comes out from Ludicolo to finally get the KO onto that Kangaskhan.
Yeah, interesting that you see that Ice Beam. Ludicolo probably not wanting to fire off a Fake Out into an Amoonguss switch like he did last time. So, thought he could probably pick up the Amoonguss on the switch with that Ice Beam is probably my best guess as to why he decided to Ice Beam. The Fake Out really wouldn't have mattered because Kangaskhan fired off the Sucker Punch into the Gyarados slot anyways. So really good decision right there by Dingram. Really safe, really conservative on his part to fire off the Ice Beam instead. That Wash Rotom going to be able to pick up that huge knockout on Gyarados, and right now that Amoonguss can freely come in and really just play a good support role. Of course, Ludicolo not going to be too good because of its grass typing. Not really going to care too much about Rage Powders or Spores, which is why Ludicolo actually, in my opinion, got a pretty good buff this generation.
Yeah, Ludicolo is also not too worried about that Wash Rotom on the field there, of course, with its grass typing, making sure that any attack that Wash Rotom tries to fire off is going to be neutral at best. So it's definitely going to be a very powerful Pokemon on the field for Dingram this turn. Hydreigon for Boomguy and Hydreigon for Dingram. Double Dragons on the field, but one of these is looking a little bit more healthy than the other.
Right, it all comes down to what items these Hydreigons are carrying. Hydreigon last time was pretty fast, so wouldn't be surprised to see if it was Choice Scarf from Dingram's side. Gonna be threatening though to Boomguy's, but again, we don't exactly know what Boomguy's item is either. It could be Choice Scarf, but we wouldn't know because last time it got paralyzed instantly. This is gonna be a pretty huge turn right now because I just don't know what's gonna happen. Hydreigon right now gonna switch out for Amoonguss on Boomguy's side, and Rotom gonna be content with protecting itself this turn. Gonna try to see exactly what Dingram's gonna do, and the opposing Hydreigon gonna fire off the Draco Meteor and a Giga Drain coming on to Rotom Wash, both protecting into both attacks. So really good decision right there, really good switch, as that Amoonguss right now can really just play a good support role. Ludicolo, of course, gonna still be able to fire off a Giga Drain onto Rotom Wash if it really wanted to. But the key thing right now is that Rotom will be able to hit that Hydreigon and get that knockout as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's huge that both of those attacks were blown into that protect. It's a free switch in for Amoonguss, which isn't going to bother that Ludicolo too much, as you already mentioned, but that Hydreigon, with such low hit points right now, really wants to make its next attack count. And if it's going to be firing off an attack into that Amoonguss, if it's not going to get the KO, then it's not doing its job.
Yeah, Dingram's right now in a pretty tough spot. Like, that Amoonguss can just easily Rage Powder away any attack that Hydreigon will throw at it, and Hydreigon right now going to switch out.
Yeah, Hydreigon definitely afraid of that. Mawile coming in on Dingram's side, so we're seeing both of those two heavy hitters from last game, Mawile and Hydreigon, on the field for Dingram.
Amoonguss right now going to fire off that Rage Powder, and Rotom hitting that Mawile with a Thunderbolt, doing a good amount of damage, at least 50%, and Giga Drain from Ludicolo going to hit that Rotom Wash and do a good amount of damage and heal back everything that has already been dealt to Ludicolo, bring it almost back to full health. Rotom, of course, activating Citrus Berry, going to heal back to about 50% as well. Really good hit right there from that Rotom onto that Mawile, doing a good amount of damage. I actually would have been pretty interested to see if Boomguy Will-O-Wisp that slot. Kind of risky because Will-O-Wisp has really low accuracy. Well, kind of low accuracy, 80%. But it would have been so good to hit that Mawile on the switch with the Will-O-Wisp, and that Will-O-Wisp, if it burned that Hydreigon last turn, would have knocked it out at the end of the turn anyways. But of course, Hydreigon would have been able to fire off an attack. So, really good play either way by Boomguy, and right now he, in my opinion, is pretty high up there in position right now. Of course, that Ludicolo going to pose a threat to both Amoonguss and Rotom. Amoonguss not really going to be able to do too much to it.
Yeah, that Ludicolo is going to threaten both of the Pokemon on the field for Boomguy, but he does have that Hydreigon in the back for cleanup, basically. Getting a lot of damage onto that Mawile and the Hydreigon is going to be huge, though, for Boomguy, because we've already seen that Ludicolo, it's dealing some decent damage, but it's not going to be enough to pick up the win with Hydreigon and Amoonguss still on the field. So definitely going to be important for Dingram to protect the Mawile and the Hydreigon and make sure they get enough damage out to actually affect the game here. Mawile is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve so that it gets even more damage, while Rotom is protecting itself from potentially another Giga Drain. But of course, Ludicolo and Mawile are both, just sort of dancing on the field there, dancing around. The Ice Beam into that Rotom slot is going to hit the Protect, while Mawile protects with its Mega evolution underway as well.
Yeah, that Ice Beam right there was really just to target a switch from Boomguy. Really good call right there by Dingram, but an even better call from Boomguy to just stay in there, protect, hang tight, and probably get off a Spore on that Mawile. Pretty much a dead turn, but at the same time right now, Boomguy's questioning, oh, what is that Ludicolo going to do? Is it going to fire off a Giga Drain into Rotom, or is it going to try to call that switch again and fire off an Ice Beam onto Hydreigon if I do decide to switch in? So really good prediction right there by Dingram.
Yeah, Dingram definitely going to put a lot of pressure on Boomguy right now. He can't make the easy switch because both this Ludicolo and that Mawile could be threatening a Hydreigon switch, and Dingram has shown that he's not afraid to predict that switch.
Right, also probably predicting the Rage Powder from Amoonguss too. Didn't want to fire off a Giga Drain into... Actually, never mind, it doesn't matter because Amoonguss is the Grass type. Or Ludicolo is the Grass type and is immune to Rage Powder. That's right, so really just predicting that switch, and right now, Rotom going to be able to do a good amount of damage to that Maul. Might even be able to pick up the knockout if it really wanted to.
It's definitely going to be a tense turn here. This is going to be... I suspect that this turn will decide this match. And for Boomguy, it's, his last chance, right? He's down one game. Dingram is up 1-0. They're playing for a top prize of $500. And if Boomguy doesn't get this turn right, then he might be out of the entire tournament.
Right.
So the pressure is really on for him right now, in a way that it probably hasn't been on him, in the rest of the season. And it looks like Dingram is going to switch that Mawile out, hoping to sneak the Hydreigon in. We'll see if that Hydreigon at such low HP is going to be able to survive a turn, get the switch off, as Boomguy also switching in his Hydreigon. Rotom does go for the Thunderbolt, and he hits the Hydreigon on Dingram's side, gets the KO there. That's a huge KO for Boomguy because now his Hydreigon is totally free to basically wreck the entire rest of this field. Giga Drain comes off onto the Rotom, but just barely survives at 9 HP. Heals that Ludicolo all the way back up to full. But Hydreigon out on the field for Boomguy is a huge move.
Right, but right now that Maul going to be able to threaten that Rotom if it really wanted to with the Sucker Punch. So Rotom not in the best of positions. Might want to try to see if it can switch out to try to keep it around a little bit longer until at least that Mawile threat is off the field. Hydreigon, of course, going to be able to threaten both these Pokemon. Not exactly sure if Hydreigon's revealed its item just yet. Going to be interesting to see if it's going to be choice locked into either Fire Blast of some sort. So, gonna be interested to see exactly how this turn plays out. This is actually a really close battle, Evan.
Would you expect any less?
Not at all from the Nugget Bridge Invitational, guys.
That's what we're here for, providing high-quality entertainment and high-quality VGC battles for the masses. Not quite the Nugget Bridge slogan, but maybe we should revisit that. So it looks like we've got Hydreigon and Wash Rotom on the field for Boomguy up against this Mawile and Ludicolo. It's really going to come down to this Mawile, I think. If this Mawile can successfully get an attack off onto one of Boomguy's Pokemon, then I think there's a chance for Dingram to bring this back. Otherwise, it's all going to be about Boomguy's Hydreigon.
Right. Right now on the field, something's probably going to get knocked out, either that Hydreigon or that Rotom, depending on who Boomguy figures is the bigger threat. Does Boomguy want to chunk out the Ludicolo with a lot of damage from a Dracmeter of some sort, or does he want to target down that Mawile?
Well, we'll see right now, as Mawile is going to go ahead and protect, trying to predict an attack from Boomguy, but Boomguy predicting the protect from Mawile fires off a Fire Blast onto Ludicolo. Doesn't deal that much damage, probably holding that Assault Vest, but gets the burn, while Will-O-Wisp into the protect of Mawile, and Ice Beam coming out from Ludicolo, going to deal some good damage back, but does blow the protect on Mawile. Mawile's really going to have to hope for a double protect here, or else it's definitely going down next turn. And that burn is actually going to provide some really important chip damage onto Ludicolo.
Right, that burn's actually really huge because right now if it comes down to Amoonguss versus Ludicolo, Amoonguss has a much better shot because at the end of every turn, Ludicolo is going to be taking chip damage, and of course chipping away at Ludicolo with that really, really bulky Assault Vest item that it's possibly holding. Going to be good to get as much damage every turn as possible, and that burn's definitely going to help. Again, Mawile right now is the big threat. Of course, going to be able to threaten that Sucker Punch. And it does go for the Sucker Punch, but Rotom not going to go for the Sucker, not going to go for an attack this turn, and Hydreigon going to be able to pick up the knockout because of that Mawile not protecting itself this turn, and Will-O-Wisp from Rotom going to go off onto Ludicolo. Of course, it's already burned, as Ludicolo going to fire off an Ice Beam onto Hydreigon. Right now, it is going to be Ludicolo versus Rotom Wash and Amoonguss. So I think right now Boomguy has a pretty good advantage, as Amoonguss is going to be able to fire off Giga Drains, and Rotom Wash going to be able to do a good amount of damage to that Ludicolo with that burn damage coming on at the end of every turn. So Boomguy really just changing his position, and looks like he's going to be able to move this on to 1-1 in the series. And there it is, the Thunderbolt from the Rotom going to fire off onto the Ludicolo. Giga Drain going to hit that Rotom Wash, going to get the knockout and heal a little bit of damage. I mean, not much at all, just taking 9 HP from Rotom. And Amoonguss right now going to fire off its Giga Drain onto the Ludicolo, going to do a good amount of damage, but not enough to get the knockout. But that burn is going to be able to knock it out at the end of the turn, and Boomguy is going to take it and tie up the series 1-1. So, really, really great set right there by Boomguy to take it and even out the series. As I believe Evan is currently trying to figure out problems on his side of the microphone. Dingram right now going to have to go back to the drawing board, and Boomguy really just showing off that, you know, he's here to play, he's here to move on, he's here to win the prize, as is everybody else here in the Nugget Bridge Invitational. Really the key right there for Dingram was to keep Mawile alive, but it really couldn't. Really good play right there from Boomguy to fire off the Will-O-Wisp, avoiding the Sucker Punch onto the Maul, keeping Rotom alive for another turn. Really, really key turn right there as we go back to team preview. Of course, on screen you can see Dingram with Mawile, Gyarados, Hydreigon, Mamoswine, Rotom Heat, and Ludicolo. And Boomguy's side, off screen, you see Delphox, Kangaskhan, Amoonguss, Carbink, Hydreigon, and Wash Rotom. As right now, I am going to welcome the one, the only, Justin Flynn, to help me cast this game 3 right here now. Hey, Justin, how's it going?
Hey, what's good? I'm stoked, man. These matches have been crazy. It's 1-1 right now.
Right. It's so amazing. I mean, Justin, you've been watching from the sideline. How do you feel right now about these matches?
Yeah, like I said, it was really, really awesome. Obviously, there's definitely been a little RNG play involved, but
Right.
I definitely think that it's balanced out. It's the RNG is balanced out as it usually does. Sometimes it goes a little fair, sometimes it doesn't. But I definitely think it's anyone's game at this point. They're both playing really well, making the right calls. It's just all going to come down, is risk versus reward.
Right. Dingram really showing off that he's a great player and showing off why he has that Worlds invite, while Boomguy, he's trying to prove that, Australia, even though they might be new to this game, they can still play, they can still hang with the countries that have more established games. So Boomguy really, really just proving himself right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it looks like we are stepping into the match, I believe. We got a Boomguy down there at the bottom. I'm sure, as you guys know, you've seen the previous 2 matches. Let's see now. The challenge is being issued, of course, by Devin Ingram there, and sending out 2 Pokemon. We got that Ludicolo and Hydreigon lead, and then from Phil or Boomguy, we got the Kangaskhan and Rotom lead here.
Yeah, Boomguy leading the exact same thing that he did last time. If it's working, why change it up? But of course, Dingram, realizing that, decided to change up his side. Both Pokemon, Ludicolo and Kangaskhan, going to be able to threaten with Fake Out, while Hydreigon going to be able to fire off a very, very powerful attack regardless of where it hits. Rotom not going to enjoy taking a Draco Meteor. Kangaskhan not going to enjoy taking a Draco Meteor either. And of course, Ludicolo, even if it decides not to Fake Out, going to be able to fire off a Giga Drain onto that Wash Rotom and do a lot of damage anyway. So really good position right now for DeVon, in my opinion. But at the same time, it really comes down to what Boomguy decides to do with his own setup right now, with his own leads.
For sure, yeah. The first turn is always like really, really clutch. The leads can really determine a game, unfortunately, sometimes. So, like you said, there was a slight advantage there, but it does look like there's actually going to be a Pokemon switched here. We see the Hydreigon switch into the Gyarados. Nice, firing off a big ol' Intimidate into that Kang. Respect the Intimidate. And also onto that Wash Rotom, which it won't really affect too much, considering Wash Rotom is typically he's a physical attacker, he's typically a special attacker, so it won't do too much there. And Kane goes Mega, and to protect from Rotom, doesn't want to get Giga Drained from that Ludicolo. I feel him there. And the Fake Out into the Hydreigon slot, so it ends up hitting that Gyarados, which was switched in. With those big old hands, that big old hand clap. No, but the Scald actually, maybe predicting the Giga Drain, lands the Scald on King, but no burn. No burn.
Yeah, really lucky right there to not get that burn. What you really hate to see is that Kangaskhan get burned, especially after it's already revealed that it doesn't have Power-Up Punch. Hammer Arm, of course, just going to be able to lower its speed, not going to be able to help it regain its attack stat at all if it does get burned. So, really fortunate right there for Boomguy, but a really good play right there on Dingram's part to predict that Fake Out, switch out immediately, and just do a little bit of damage. Of course, we saw earlier that Gyarados has the Wakan Berry, not going to be able to get that knockout from Rotom Wash with that Thunderbolt. So right now, Gyarados going to be able to fire off a Thunder Wave if it really wanted to onto that Kangaskhan and kind of weaken it a little bit more.
For sure. Now we actually do see the switch on Gyarados. Maybe doesn't even feel like taking that potential Thunderbolt there. And a big hit into the Ludicolo slot, but relatively bulky. Only ends up taking off a little bit over 50% of health there. But doubles up onto the Ludicolo. Nice, hitting with that Thunderbolt. Oh, but the big old Giga Drain is going to put Ludicolo right back into this battle to about almost 50% HP. Proccing the Citrus Berry, though, from Rotom, going to get a fourth of health back and right into the green, and Hydreigon is on the field.
Yeah, but a really good play right there from Dingram to kind of bait that Thunderbolt, but an even better play from Boomguy to kind of ignore that Gyarados, and just fire off attacks onto the Ludicolo instead.
I think the real question here, Dewey, is where's the Carbink?
uh,
We want Carbink.
Carbink,
We want Carbink.
Carbink, maybe it's in back, maybe it's taking a break, but maybe it's not even that great in this matchup. Kangaskhan right now going to be able to threaten that Ludicolo. We saw that return last turn did about 50%, so going to be able to get that knockout if it really chose to. But of course, that Hydreigon going to be able to threaten with a powerful Dragon type attack anyways. So it's all really tough decisions right now for Boomguy to see what he thinks Dingram's going to do.
Yeah, the Draco Meteor is so real right now. Could be so seriously real.
Yeah, but if Boomguy did have that Carbink, that would be a pretty easy switch right there since Carbink's a fairy type.
Oh, look out, Carbink hurt me. All right, looks like Phil or Boomguy, I should say, has chosen his move there. It looks like Devin taking a little bit of extra time to make sure he stays in this one. It's a game 3, guys.
Yeah, really, really tough decisions right now for both players. One wrong move and they could be instantly out of this tournament and lose all that momentum that they have. So tough decision right now for Dingram to see what he wants to do, where he's going to fire off his attacks.
All right, looks like Devin with the big old switcheroo, firing off an Intimidate from Mawile there, from Mawile. And intimidating again into that Kangaskhan slot, so again, not really affecting Rotom, but the Draco Meteor, oh, Kangaskhan! The avoid and the return. Oh, is it going to be right onto that Mawile? So eating it up, the Steel type resisting normal attacks, but at least gets a little bit of damage onto the Mawile slot. Rotom Thunderbolt, who's going to hit? Nice! Onto the Mawile that's non-mega. That is huge. Mawile has the defense is so weak for Mawile, taking a ton of neutral damage there.
Right, and right now that Kangaskhan can threaten that Mawile with a Sucker Punch to easily knock it out. Again, Boomguy just not really caring about that slot of Hydreigon. Really wants to get rid of that Ludicolo. Knows exactly how big of a threat it is, or possibly even predicted a switch from that Ludicolo into a Gyarados to try to hit it, but Boomguy just showing off that he is just targeting down one side of the field. Go ahead, do whatever you want on the other side of the field, Dingram. I don't care. I'm just going to target that side. But that Mawile right now, heavily, heavily damaged. Not going to be too much of a threat.
So rough with that big miss there. I mean, that's exactly I think what we were saying before. It's like it's risk versus reward. Essentially, it's like sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit, Dwee, and sometimes you don't get the biscuit.
Right, that's really an unfortunate miss. That Draco Meteor would have put a really, really big dent in that Kangaskhan if it did connect, possibly even pick up the knockout. Just so unfortunate for Dingram. Of course, the big thing right there, though, the Rotom firing off that Thunderbolt into that Mawile to get a lot of damage out, and it's just so unfortunate for Dingram that Kangaskhan is still on the field. Going to right now be able to threaten that Hydreigon with a powerful Hammer Arm if it really wanted to. Going to be able to threaten that Mawile if it really wanted to. So Kangaskhan still reigns free right now.
Yeah, there's definitely Boom does have a slight advantage. It looks like right now, but that doesn't mean that Devin can't turn it around. Devin, of course, the top player there, and Phil, the bottom player, or otherwise known as Boomguy, I think is his handle. Looks to have a slight advantage. Looks like he's locked in, and here we go. Both players have decided on their moves. The switch on Kangaskhan. All right, maybe unexpected there. Really thought we'd see maybe a little threat from a Sucker Punch or something else. And the withdraw from for the Mawile there from Devin, switching into Ludicolo back out. And the Protect on Rotom. Draco Meteor does fall. Amoonguss, avoid. Are you kidding me? Amoonguss. That slot can't be hit. I'm convinced that slot can't be hit, Dwee.
Huge avoid right there. Amoonguss coming in for free, essentially. And good play right there from Boomguy's side to play it pretty safe, protect that Rotom just in case anything bad could have happened. I think what was supposed to happen was that Mawile just was supposed to target that Kangaskhan slot, and maybe Boomguy thought he could get another free knockout, as we saw in Game 1 with that Rocky helmet. But right now, that Amoonguss sitting pretty, not going to care too much about what happens. Of course, Hydreigon probably locked into that Draco Meteor. Going to have to fire off Draco Meteor and pick a slot to hit. Of course, Rotom right now going to have free reign with that Amoonguss being able to redirect at least Hydreigon's attack with that Rage Powder. And Ludicolo going to be a pretty big threat to that Rotom, though. Going to be able to Giga Drain it, heal back, and that's really, really
Amoonguss gonna be super effective, but Amoonguss typically a pretty bulky Pokemon. And the Spore! Oh, night time for Hydreigon there. No fear. No fear for that.
The next turn for sure is going to be sleeping, so right now Boomguy just trying to play it out as best as he can. Ludicolo did a good amount of damage to that Amoonguss, less than 50%, as Kangaskhan can come in for free now, and going to be able to threaten Hydreigon or that Ludicolo, so good position right now. Kangaskhan going to be able to kind of fire off an attack wherever it wants to. Really, Boomguy's way to deal with that Gyarados that we already saw and exactly how troublesome it can be. So Hydreigon from Boomguy's side probably going to be the key right now to being able to knock out that pretty bulky Gyarados, support Gyarados.
Very, very true. Yes, support Gyarados can be tough. It is nice to have a Kang here right now. It looks like he kind of gets to pick what he wants to do. You know, just can you pick up that? Is it important to get rid of the Ludicolo? Do you just have to, you know, always figure out where's the threat, you know? And that's
Right.
looks like that's what he's going to do.
Right. Ludicolo, of course, going to be threatening to that. Ludicolo going to be threatening to that. Amoonguss going to be able to fire off Ice Beams. Going to be able to fire off a Scald. Of course, Hydreigon going to be asleep for sure this turn. So Boomguy probably going to want to target down that Ludicolo slot and hit whatever. You're probably holding the Sulfest. Probably has no protect. So going to be interesting to see what Boomguy decides to do.
It looks like we see the switch into Mawile, which I think was the right call. You need to get the Intimidate off on that Kangaskhan, even though at the risk of losing Mawile, you know, at least Kangaskhan its attack has been lowered, could force a potential switch a little bit later. So I like that call. It's unfortunate to see the Mawile go so early, but let's see what we get here. Oh, a Spore, though, actually expecting the switch into that slot, but picks up the feint, and the Spore doesn't work out on that Hydreigon who is already fast asleep, but could wake up next turn.
Right. Unfortunate that Dingram had to sacrifice his Mawile there. It's always tough playing without a Mega, but right now, Dingram just has to try to salvage his momentum right now. Ludicolo, of course, is going to play a huge part. Hydreigon needs to wake up if he wants to be able to really have a chance at coming back into this battle. Boomguy right now with that Kangaskhan. At -1, still going to be able to do a good amount of damage to that Hydreigon if it really wants to with that Hammer Arm that we saw earlier. So it all really comes down right now to what Dingram sends out and how he can try to take back that momentum.
Yeah, it's. I mean, obviously we know Ludicolo is back there, and the
Gyarados.
And the Gyarados. Mm-hmm. So another Intimidate right now I think would be a really good call, but you know, there's also Ludicolo that has a potential to do some on two Pokemon. It's really it's funny how complicated a decision can be between two Pokemon, you know?
Right. And really just a wrong decision here could possibly cost you the match. That's so like just nerve-wracking, you know? That's why we're commentating, they're out there playing instead.
Yeah, I'm over that. I'm over all that participating stuff.
Yeah. Dingram, of course, really meticulous player, trying to figure out what his best course of option is, and does decide to send in that Ludicolo.
Yeah, it looks like it's Ludicolo, full-on dance party, starting to rage. Actually going to see here, or is it just going to unfortunately take the smash to the face from Kang?
Ludicolo could provide fake out support if it really wanted to, possibly fake out the Kangaskhan, give Hydreigon a turn to try to wake up.
Yeah, it looks like that's what we are actually seeing with the Rage Powder, though, included. So Amoonguss should be able to eat one of these attacks up, especially since I believe that Draco Meteor should be a little bit less powerful. I don't know if it's going to be enough to do 119. Amoonguss! 19 hit points, takes both. The fake out went down on Kang, so Amoonguss around for another turn. That's huge. That is huge.
Right, definitely. And right now, a tough decision for Boomguy, because he needs to get rid of that Ludicolo, but at the same time, this Hammer Arm, I believe, will not be able to knock out this Hydreigon, because last time we saw that Hydreigon barely held on after this Amoonguss. Of course, Amoonguss with Regenerate could possibly switch, come back in, and try to try to have more health coming back in if it really wanted to. So, tough decisions right now. Oh God, such a tough decision.
Yeah, it really is. That's true. The Kangaskhan, the
Right, sacrificing that Mawile so that it could come in and get that Intimidate off to try to keep Hydreigon alive around a lot longer. And there you see Hydreigon not going to want to stay in.
No, definitely not. We do see the switch into Gear. Oh no, Kang is shut down. There's no way Kang can't even feint that Ludicolo right now, I don't think. Oh, is it enough? No, he actually picks it up. Unbelievable. Kang needed to get that feint. That is huge, but he is going to have to most likely switch it out at this point. The Spore going down into the Gyarados slot. The huge Spore raining down. Gyarados asleep. Hydreigon coming back in, though, fresh with full special attack, though. Very threatening.
Right, Kangaskhan might want to try to figure out a way if he can get out. Double Intimidate right now, not going to be able to do too much damage at all to anything on the field. Yeah, it's tough, but that was a good play right there from Boomguy to put that Gyarados to sleep on the switch. Figured, hey, if you're not going to knock out my Amoonguss, might as well punish you for not knocking it out. And Dingram definitely paying for that, as Hydreigon right now the only attacker on the field, because Gyarados going to for sure be asleep this turn. Yeah, again, I wouldn't be surprised to see if Kangaskhan decides to switch out this turn.
I think that's a great call, Dewey, switching the Kang, get it back up to full strength, and then let it come in and do its business in the end there. It can no longer be intimidated, so I guess if you're going to have to risk that slot, maybe, or you can think that they're going to target that slot, maybe put the Hydreigon to sleep as well, I'm not sure, or just Rage Powder, sacrifice the Amoonguss, and let Kang come back in fresh immediately.
Right, and if he does decide to do that, depending on what is in back for Boomguy, it could possibly be the game, because if Amoonguss gets knocked out after Rage Powdering away anything that Hydreigon throws at it, Kangaskhan can come back in, and if that's Hydreigon in the back, that would actually be a fake out support in Kangaskhan and free reign for Kangaskhan, or free reign for Kangaskhan's partner to do a good amount of damage, but not going to go for that instead.
Yeah, it looks like we actually do see the Hammer Arm doing massive damage, but the Dragon Pulse not going to reduce Hydreigon's attack or special attack at all, and decides to actually Hammer Arm. This is really scary here, but the Spore, Amoonguss does fire off the Spore. Great choice. 2 Pokemon asleep right now. Kangaskhan should be able to pick up the feint on that Hydreigon before Gyarados gets to move.
Right, and the thing is, right now, Amoonguss can fire off a Rage Powder to draw away any attack that Gyarados does decide to wake up this turn. So really good position right now for Boomguy. But of course, I'm wrong. Boomguy's doing his own thing right now.
Oh no, I think that was a big switch there. That was right. It's looking like Boomguy's taking a lead here in this match. A definitive lead. Great call on that. Decides to go with return actually, and no, doesn't quite pick up the feint. Uh-oh. I don't know what that means, but I'm not sure if this Hydreigon's going to wake up. This is a big wake-up turn here.
Right. Of course, Kangaskhan can always just Sucker Punch it. Interesting to see that he did not decide to go for that Hammer Arm that probably would have picked up the knockout. So, really just... I mean, Sucker Punch can knock out the Hydreigon for sure. And Hydreigon going to be able to play in that Gyarados, going to be able to fire off probably a Dracometer and do a good amount of damage to that Gyarados if it really wanted to. So still pretty good position right now for Boomguy. It's always unfortunate to see the opponent have both Pokemon asleep. Gonna have to see if anything can wake up this turn, and I think that might do it. I think that might seal the deal for him.
I think you're correct there, Dewey. We do see the Sucker Punch Hydreigon most likely locked into, I believe we've decided locked into that, and there it is, a Dragon Pulse actually from the other Hydreigon. So both Hydreigons going with the Dragon Pulse there. Still Gyarados taking a big ol' nap. I think that might have just sealed the deal there. Gyarados hanging by himself in the yellow with 3 Pokemon left for Boomguy. I think Boomguy's going to make it into round 2 here.
Right, 3-on-1 right now. Gyarados not going to be able to come back, I think. Not going to be able to do damage at all to that Hydreigon. Of course, Amoonguss still in the back, and there it is. DeVon Ingram going to just forfeit the match. And really, really big win right there for Boomguy.
Oops, I think I called him Devin. My bad, Davon. Sorry about that. Dingram, my bad. You can please send me all kinds of hate mail. jflynnhate@gmail.com. I'm sure that's probably a good spot to send it to. My bad, Devon, but great match between both competitors. Like it was back and forth a lot. I mean, there really wasn't a time when it was solidified until really that double sleep, I think, is when it turned around.
Right. Boomguy really just punishing Dingram for just not knocking out that Amoonguss. Of course, Amoonguss a really big threat always because he can always put Pokemon to sleep if he really wanted to. Dingram just got a little bit. He faltered towards the end, but really great sets from both players. Boomguy really proving to the world right now that Australia is here to play. Dingram, of course, he played an amazing set as well. He showed great prediction. He showed the great ability to play. He's showing why he deserves to be in Worlds. So really, really great set from both players, and that was probably a really exciting match to have just as this first round of the Nugget Bridge Invitational.
Yeah, it was a great first match. I mean, anytime it's going to go to 2 out of 3 is really, really fun, and the chat's running a little bit wild for Australia. You see the Aussie hype in the chat. That's great, like you said, to see competitors come out of scenes that might not be the biggest,
Right, for sure. And right now, Boomguy moving on to the second round. Do we have an updated bracket?
It looks like we do. We are seeing the bracket right now, so everyone can get an idea. It looks like almost all the matches from round 1 have been completed. I'm really excited to step into round 2 here. This is going to be really fun, man. Lots of great competitors, guys. $1,000 in prizes on the line. Is that correct, Dwee?
Yes, $1,000 in prizes. Winner going to take home, I believe, $500. So, really, really big prize pool. Really excited to see what's going to happen right now. I mean, this bracket is pretty stacked. If you look at it, yeah, I mean, Cybertron already getting knocked out of round 1, so that just shows how great this competition is right now,
Oh yeah, it's no joke. I mean, these are the top 32 guys throughout the entire Nugget Bridge season. Is that correct?
Right. Top 32. I mean, they've played in big tournaments. They've been consistent. They've played in big tournaments. 32 of the best players now only down